This is probably one of the biggest cons, like condo, just like that. What am I doing? Just like that. Hello, welcome to Swadika. My name is Rob, and whether you're a first-time renter or a seasoned veteran here in the Kingdom of Thailand, I'm going to be hopefully giving you a bit of insight into the key differences between condominiums and apartments, the pros, the cons, and a bit of insight actually into my personal experience over the past 3 months searching for both. Well, it wasn't as easy as I thought, and it's all coming up in today's video. All right, here we go. We're in a beautiful park next to Central World. It's been in a previous video. 10 o'clock in the morning, 25 degrees, absolutely perfect. Essentially, in a nutshell, the differences between a condo and an apartment is ownership. With a condominium, you can have multiple different owners, all in the same building, 100, 500, 1,000 even. Whereas with an apartment, you've only got one individual or entity. It could be a company, but they own and manage the whole building all by themselves. And on the face of it, looking from the outside, you might look at the buildings and think, well, they're all condominiums, and they're not. There's a few apartments sort of dotted here and there, and you can't really tell the difference between them. You kind of have to find out for yourself. But how does that affect you as a renter? Well, there's pros and cons of each one. We should probably get into it. All right, let's kickstart things with the condominiums. It's what we're most familiar with, especially me and probably most of you guys as well. And I've written down the pros and cons, and we'll kickstart things with the pros. More options. There's so many condominiums online. Not only that, you look around the city and it's like condo. There's so many options. There's so many different searching websites to find this. I'm not going to list them. I'm not going to favor any of them. So not only an abundance of condos, but an abundance of ways to search for them. It really does make things easy to find. And with that, you get more flexibility because you have individual owners. You get different styles, different furniture, different paint, just absolutely everything. You can definitely find something really niche that kind of fits your personality or need, whereas this can be really difficult actually when you're looking for apartments. So yeah, way more flexibility with style and design and all that sort of jazz. Having a middleman as an agent, this can be a pro and a con. But if you're looking to communicate with perhaps your landlord and they don't speak English, they're Chinese and you speak English, you can have somebody in between to kind of do that kind of communication for you, especially when stuff kind of goes wrong. It can really be beneficial. Government rate electric. This is, well, it really does make things affordable here in the city, and for the most part, every single condo that I've been in, the majority that I've looked at, are all at government rate, which I think is around 7 Thai baht, and I'm not too sure what the water rate is, but it's roughly about 200 baht per month. So yeah, definitely check that when you're looking at the condos, but for the most part, they're all on a government rate, which I think, correct me if I'm wrong, is around 7 Thai baht. All right, let's move on to the cons. I'm sure there's way more pros, by the way, but I'm just going to keep things simple and short for this video. It's an information video, so I hope you can appreciate that. The cons, they're more expensive because you're getting this more personal touch, this more style, you're getting more expensive furniture, nicer locations and nicer facilities, usually in the condominiums, you know, some of these swimming pools and the gyms and the gardens and everything else. And with that, you do get a more expensive rent bill at the end of the month. Communication time, and this can definitely be a con because let's say something goes wrong, the washing machine, the microwave, and then you then have to kind of register that with the agent who might have a day off, they might be on holiday. They then have to communicate with the landlord, wait for them to respond, comes back, what's wrong with it? Oh, we need to get a quote, when are you free? It just goes around in circles and it can take, well, some time to get certain things resolved. Oh man, this one is the dreaded one, getting your deposit back. This is probably one of the biggest cons, and I've seen it time and time again, people getting absolutely screwed by the landlords when they leave. I've had good and bad experiences with this over the years. Sometimes the agent has put like a fight against the landlord saying, no, you know, he shouldn't pay this much, or you need to owe him this much. And I highly recommend that when you move in, you really need to do your due diligence and just film everything, every single room, every single appliance, inside and out, even like inside the microwave, inside the fridge. Check absolutely everything, because if they can find something, they will, and they'll try and charge you for it. So yeah, be very, very mindful of this and very careful. Just cover yourself as soon as you move in, you should be all right. All right, let's move on to the apartments, and I'm sure there's way more pros and cons for both of these, so leave in the comments below anything that you can think of or you've had problems with, and I'll put it all in the description. Make a big list so we can all kind of look at it together and kind of learn together. That's the whole point of this video. It's not meant to be entertaining, it's meant to be, well, educational, I suppose. But yeah, let's move on to the apartments, and again, we'll start off with the pros, and that's they're mega cheap, like really, really cheap. Half the price, twice the size. But with that, you get trade-offs. You have to have trade-offs to move into an apartment, and well, there's actually quite a few trade-offs. Like I said, you've got different quality kind of furniture, the paint on the walls, the facilities. Sometimes a lot of these apartments don't have facilities like swimming pools and gyms, or the facilities are not quite up to the same standard that you might find in some of the condominiums. So you do have to keep that in mind. There's definitely a trade-off with price versus quality. Another pro is all of the management is in-house. Again, if the washing machine breaks, all you got to do is go downstairs, speak to someone. They'll probably have a mechanic on site and they'll probably fix it that day. It really is that easy to get things kind of sorted and resolved. That being said, there's also a con with having to do that, and I'll explain a bit more about that in a minute. But yeah, all of the management's on site, so you can get things resolved really quickly. With apartments, you can usually get shorter leases, 3 months, 6 months. Some of them even do like a rolling 1 month contract, so you can just go in, live there for a month and then get out. And for the most part, the prices are not really too bad. The difference between kind of like a 1 month, 6 month or a 12 month. So there's definitely more flexibility in regards to contracts of apartments than there are with condos. And previously mentioned, bigger space, half the price, bigger space. You can get 40, 50, 60 square meter apartment for the same price as like a 20 square meter condo. It's ridiculous. You do get way more value for your money in terms of space with an apartment. All right, let's move on to the cons. High utility rates. Be careful. Some of them are ridiculous. You really do have to be careful, and you should have a look at this when you're looking around. It should be one of the first things that you ask, because it can really be a bit of a waste of time actually to go in, check a place out, really like it and be like, oh, how much is this going to cost? You could be spending thousands on utility rates in these apartments, even if the rent is really cheap. Okay, communication. Like I said earlier, although it's nice that you can just go downstairs and report things, trying to actually report things or get things resolved if you don't speak Thai can sometimes be a bit of an issue. Obviously, it's my own fault for not speaking Thai after 2 years, but if you're new to Thailand and you're still trying to learn, perhaps you come here on like an education visa to learn, and you want to go downstairs and report something or ask about something or get something resolved, sometimes the communication can be a bit of an issue. I've been searching for condos and apartments over the past 3 months, and I've kind of realized this firsthand. Even going in and asking what rooms are available, because I don't speak Thai, which is fully my fault, it has been a bit of a barrier to entry for me just to even find out if there was a room free, let alone if I had a room and there was a problem. So yeah, communication is definitely a problem with some of the apartments if you don't speak Thai. Another one is hard to find online. Although there's an abundance of condos, millions, trying to find apartments is a whole different kettle of fish actually. It's a completely different way to search for things. I thought I could just search for apartments for rent in Bangkok, and you can do that and you will get some results. But for the most part, you need to be feet on the ground, walking around the areas, walking into the apartments and saying, do you have a free room? And 9 times out of 10 when I was doing this, there were free rooms. I went to about 15 different apartments, but none of them were advertised online. So you really need to keep this in mind. It's one of those feet on the ground thing. And for the most part, it's not that they're reserved for the Thais, and it's not that you're not welcome, but that's kind of what I'm saying. It's not easy for a Westerner who doesn't speak Thai to search for these particular kind of apartments. So with all of that being said, I had a mindset of wanting to move into an apartment because of the extra space, cheaper rent and everything else that come along with it. But after searching, trying to speak to people, trying to get things resolved, I've kind of changed my mind again. I'm going to stick to condos, stick to what's easier for me to communicate with people. And although it is a higher price, I think it's worth it at the moment until I can speak Thai. All right, that is going to do it for the condo versus apartments video. This was not meant to be entertaining. It was meant to be informative. I hope it was for some of you, any of you. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.